That hurt. I had to pay some 45,000 rupees as brokerage. Bombay in 2007, 45,000 rupees. That was a brokerage which I paid when I was not getting any salary. I tried for almost 2 months. All the real estate platforms, horizontals, could meet only 2 owners and इतने खराब थे वो घर कि उसमें रहने का तो सवाल ही नहीं. And that was kind of a tipping point for me. Millions of people like me are undergoing through this problem every day. So you have to solve for that. That time in 2007, I booked this domain name NoBroker.in.
It gives me immense pleasure to host another unicorn founder on the campus today. We have Mr. Saurabh Garg. He's a co-founder of NoBroker, the first PropTech unicorn in India. Welcome, Saurabh.
Thanks.
Saurabh has been with NoBroker for 9 years now. They entered into the unicorn league table last year, but he has about an experience of 15 years. Prior to this, he was with Four Fountains, the largest scientific health spa.
Yes.
So it was with them. And before this, he was with sales and marketing team at HUL. He's an alum of IMA and IIT Bombay. So let's dive in.
Yeah.
Saurabh, we've noticed, a lot of times people take a typical path of completing in engineering and then going into an MBA and finally, 2-3 years of experience and finally starting something of their own. Yeah. What do you think when you should be starting and what should be the right path of, this journey?
I think there is no right time or right path for this. It will vary from each person to another person. Specifically in my case, I think I was very clear from my childhood that entrepreneurship is what excites me. And it's kind of ironical because none of my close family is into business. My father was an engineer, my mother was a doctor. So everybody was a professional. But somehow, I really used to like understanding problems, finding a solution for them, and creating something. And that's what excited me. So I was very clear that I want to do entrepreneurship. My first attempt at entrepreneurship happened when I was at IIT Bombay, actually, in the year 2000. And I, along with a friend of mine, we were trying to build. So we saw one article which said that franchising is going to be very big in India. And that was a time of .com boom, right? So we were trying to build a platform for franchising where, franchisers can list and people who want to look at franchising can actually come and connect them like that. And we were very excited and tried to build that, tried to raise money also. But unfortunately, before we could raise, the .com bust happened and nobody was ready to fund us. So we had to shelve that idea. But I think over a period of time, I kept on thinking of various things or themes which excited me and kept on trying. When I graduated from IIT, again, so I had an option either to go to Columbia for Masters in Quantitative Finance, or I had an option to go to Imperial College or London School of Economics. But I also had an option of going to IIM Ahmedabad. So I chose IIM Ahmedabad over all those because I felt that a business education would give me that strong footing that probably I need for entrepreneurship. And being in India is great because I believe, even at that time, I believe that, in the next 15, 20 years, India is going to see a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities. So I wanted to be in India. That's how this decision happened. And yeah, I started it post. I worked for 3 years in Unilever, which was actually kind of a very good experience because Unilever teaches you 2-3 things. One, of course, that when I was 23 years old when I joined Unilever, I had a team of people who were working with me. Many of them were like double my age. And 16 people in my team. How do you manage that? So that leadership lesson which you get at the early age, I think that was invaluable. And of course, you learn a lot about brands, branding, and marketing. So I think it depends on that specific person. If they feel that they're ready, you can start it. I just saw that one of my friend's son, he started his venture. He's 16 years old. He's in 12th standard. He started his own venture now. So I don't think there's any right time. It's when you feel you're ready and you have that idea.
Were your parents encouraging or pushing you back, or did you receive any kind of setback from there?
So, like I said, that they're professionals, so they've never seen business, and even in my distant relatives who have done any business, there have been so many ups and downs. So they were not very comfortable. And my father specifically, he has been a big supporter of Unilever. So he had invested in Unilever shares when I was not even born. So large part of his wealth he had generated from Unilever shares. I think he bought it for 1 rupee, and I think now they're at 2,600 rupees. So he's compounded it over 2,600 times. So he was like, "How can you even think of this? How can you even think of leaving such a great company and think of starting on your own?" It's a huge, huge pushback. I think I just persisted, and then they relented.
Interesting. As they say, founding a life partner is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, what do you think was founding a co-founders at NoBroker? How was it, and how did you reach to that stage?
No, you're right. So I think finding a co-founder is probably as big a decision as finding a life partner. You're extremely right about that. So I'll tell you how I met my co-founders. I have two co-founders, Akhil and Amit. Akhil is my junior from IIT Bombay. We used to live in the same hostel, same floor, and he was my next door neighbor. He was 2 years junior to me. And Amit and I were batchmates at IIM Ahmedabad. So in the same dorm, same floor, next door neighbor. So I mean that's how I met these guys. But but I think it's very critical to get right co-founder, because you're going to spend at least 10, 12, 15 years with those guys, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours every day. Most of your time that you are awake, you're going to spend with them. So finding a right guy is extremely, extremely important. And I think I've been quite lucky in that sense, that Akhil, Amit, and we go a long way. When we started this company in 2013, I knew both of them for almost 13, 14 years. So that comfort was there. When I married my wife, I didn't know her for 13 years. So I knew her for 3 years before I married her. So I think I had a huge, trust which came with getting these guys. So I think choosing co-founder is extremely important, and you should spend enough time to figuring whom you'll be comfortable with, whom you know that you will fight with them, argue with them, because that's going to happen. When you do a startup, there will be different point of views. You'll fight, you'll argue, but at the end of the day, you should say, okay, this is what we've decided. Everything is okay. Let's go and have a beer. That's what the kind of comfort you should have.
Great. Now, which was my next question. How do you balance and maintain that professional and personal relationship?
Yeah.
So very well answered.
I think I'll add one more thing to this, because I know these guys for such a very long time. Now it has become like a family, right? Because our families also know each other, our kids play together. So I think that is also there. That it's not only about work; it's also about a lot of things. Sometimes you go travel together. That also brings uh, not only the work part, the other things that we do together.
Makes sense. How has the journey been so far at NoBroker? What do you think? Is it living up to the vision that was planned earlier? Is it intending on that trailing vision?
Yeah, I think we're doing okay. So when we started, so I'll tell you how we started NoBroker. So that will give you an idea about where we are. So I had quit my job at Unilever, and Unilever used to give a beautiful house to live in. So I used to live in a beautiful apartment in Bandra West, very well furnished house. And as soon as I quit my job, uh, first time I realized that there is somebody called a broker जिसके साथ अब interact करना पड़ेगा, and because I had to now find a house to live in, and जॉब छोड़ दी थी, सैलरी भी नहीं आ रही थी, अभी तक फंडिंग नहीं मिला था. So I wanted to save money. So my first idea was that there are so many platforms, so I'll be able to find a house without a broker, right? Because so many real estate platform existed, horizontals were there. So I thought कि ठीक है, मैं directly owner से बात करता हूँ and we'll close it. I tried for almost 2 months. All the real estate platforms, horizontals. I think I could meet only 2 owners, and इतने खराब थे वो घर कि उसमें रहने का तो सवाल ही नहीं है. Ultimately, I had to pay, I think, some 45,000 rupees as brokerage. Bombay, just imagine 2007, 45,000 rupees. That was a brokerage which I paid when I was not getting any salary. That hurt first. The experience was really bad. When the broker showed me the house, he showed me the worst houses first. After I said कि नहीं मुझे आपसे नहीं देखना, then he showed me some decent house. Then said कि चलो close करते हैं. So it was very, very broken experience. But the funny part was that after 11 months, when I was renewing the agreement with the same landlord, the broker came back and demanded the brokerage again. He said कि यहाँ का ये rule है. मैंने कहा आपने क्या किया है? कहता नहीं यहाँ पे ऐसे ही होता है. So it was a very beautiful annuity business, right? 45,000, 50,000 rupees every month where I'll have to pay, and the owner has to pay till the time we both are staying in that. And that was kind of a tipping point for me. I said, boss, millions of people like me are undergoing through this problem every day. So you have to solve for that. And that time in 2007, 2007 end, I think I booked this domain name NoBroker.in in 2007. Then I was busy with my venture, Four Fountains, and 2012, I think I remember, I spoke to Akhil, who was my junior, and he was living in Bangalore. I was talking about this idea. He said कि हाँ मेरे साथ भी Bangalore में ऐसे ही हुआ है. I was living in Bombay that time. So he said कि Bangalore also has a very similar kind of a thing, and ये तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. So let's try and do that. He was working at Oracle that time. So then we started building this platform, and over a period of time हमने शुरू किया. Then Amit called me one day and he said कि I'm quitting my job, I'm joining another startup. So I told him कि अच्छा तो हमारा startup ही join कर लो तुम. So Amit also came in like that, and then we started working on this. But the idea that time was that, boss, help people find a home without a broker, whether it is rental, whether it is buying a home, selling a home. That was the idea. Over a period of time, we realized that the real estate journey is actually slightly more complex. It's not only about finding the home. There are a lot of things which happen post that also, or pre that. For example, if I am an owner, I want to list my property to rent. I want to first get it cleaned. I want to get it painted. ये काम कुछ केसेस में ब्रोकर कराता था, कुछ केसेस में कोई और कराता था. Now when broker was not there, owner said कि अच्छा ये कौन कराएगा? So we said, okay, we'll get this done. So we launched our services vertical. Similarly, tenant needed a packers and movers. Tenant needed a rent agreement. Buyer needed home loans. Buyer needed interiors. So slowly, we became a one-stop shop. Everything that you need to do in a real estate journey, you can do at NoBroker itself. So now we are the largest packers and movers in India. We're the largest painting company in India. In most of these verticals, for example, in loans, we disburse few hundred crores of loans every month. Of course, not on our books. We partner with banks and NBFCs, but the idea is solve the customer's problem. Wherever in this journey there is a pain point, let's solve it. So I think it has changed from where we started to becoming kind of a one-stop shop.
Got it. Guys, I'm sure everyone would have, at least gone through the platform of NoBroker. With a show of hands, if there's anyone who's not seen NoBroker's website. Great. Moving on. So securing the first, funding round for your own startup is very special to the heart.
Yeah.
What made you guys that this is the right time for us to, go out? And these are the ones who will actually, help us with the right movement.
So look, we realized that this is a consumer tech startup. So it will require some money upfront. So we need an investor. So this realization we had very early. And, so when we started building the platform, I think we launched the platform and we said, okay, let's try and raise some money. So we're trying to do that. But there was a lot of inertia, a lot of pushback. Because investors told us कि ऐसा कोई मॉडल यूएस में नहीं है, ऐसा कोई मॉडल चाइना में नहीं है. So why will this work in India? And it was very difficult for us to convince them कि ऐसा कोई मॉडल एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है यूएस एंड चाइना में, बिकॉज द स्ट्रक्चर इज वेरी डिफरेंट. देयर इज द मार्केट इज रेगुलेटेड, द ब्रोकर्स हैव टू गो थ्रू अ सर्टिफिकेशन. I think a very different kind of structure exists there. So that was one challenge. So we struggled with that, and I think for almost 6 to 8 months we were struggling. And post that, we were able to convince actually 2-3 investors who said, okay, we'll put money in your startup. And everybody said that, in the next 2-3 days we'll give you a term sheet. That's when I remember that, I think it was a Wednesday morning when I woke up, I saw a front page news that housing has raised $90 million from SoftBank. And suddenly the entire environment changed. And investors started telling us that, look, the market is not that big because somebody has raised $90 million, which is one of the largest fundraise. So how will you guys sustain? How will you guys grow? So all the investors backed out. And they said, कि, नहीं, अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So it was the first hit we had. But I think, again, what is important is in any startup, persistence is very important. So we kept on executing, we kept on doing things, and we realized that although housing has raised $90 million, our number of transactions that we are doing in the cities where we are present are higher than housing. So over a period of time, we were able to convince, and the good thing is when you're raising money, you just have to convince one guy. And we were able to convince Elevation, who was called Safe Partners that time. So they came in and they invested $3 million. And that was where we started from.
Fair. Any crazy memory from your first startup, Four Fountains Spa?
So I think when we started Four Fountains, again, we just came out of HUL. So I and my other co-founder was also from HUL. And, we launched our first branch. And we did a tie-up, I think, with Shoppers Stop, where we said that we'll distribute our vouchers to their customers, discount vouchers, so that when they buy something, they can use that voucher, come to Four Fountains and redeem it. And I think we were very naive. We said, boss, let's give only 100 vouchers to them. Because we'll give 100 people will come and we'll not have space to cater to all of them.
Yeah.
And we realized हमने 100 दिया, उनमें से एक आदमी आया. So I think that, that what you gave to a conversion ratio, that understanding slowly came to us, that you give 100, one person will redeem. You have to give 10,000 so that 100 people can redeem. So I think that happened over a period of time. But yeah.
Great. Let's switch gears into the real estate market in India a little bit. The real estate market in India is quite huge. It's quite enormous. Everyone know of us, and NoBroker has been rewriting the rules for quite some time now. What do you think is panning out, and what is something that the consumers can actually look for?
Real estate market is very large. You guys would have read how many billions of dollars the industry is. It's growing. Every year, some 15 lakh houses are sold every year in India. I think 2.5 crore houses are rented every year. So very, very large market. And of course, there's commercial and all that stuff. Does anyone know how much brokerage is paid in India every year? Any guesses?
1.5% to 2% of the whole transaction amount. So
Yes, but what is the total amount?
yes, roughly 2 billion to 4 billion.
2 billion to 4 billion USD in India. Okay. Any other guess? 2 billion to 4 billion means roughly 16,000 crores to 32,000 crores. लगता है ठीक है ये? ज़्यादा है कम है? कम है ज़्यादा है?
It's around that.
Sorry?
It's around that only 50,000, 60,000.
Okay. The brokerage is paid in India every year by people like you and me is 1,50,000 crores. 1.5 lakh crore brokerage pay hota hai. This is not what you're paying to buy or rent. This is the only money which you're paying to a broker for helping you finding a house or a shop or a office or whatever. 1,50,000 crores. So that's the quantum of money that people are spending. So I think what we've done is just scratch the surface. We now every month we rent around 60,000 houses. We sell around 5,500 houses every month. So this overall is $8-9 billion worth of GMV every year. But this is very small part of what we do, right? Because every year we save around 4,000 to 4,500 crores in brokerage now. It's 3% of what people spend. So we have just scratched the surface. So I think lot more things need to be done. We need to work harder. We need to help people save more money. But this is not a bad start. This is a good start. At least we're helping people save 4,500 crores every year.
I read an article which basically said, just an extension of what you said. A couple of traditional brokers barged into your office
Yeah.
and something about that story.
Right. So after we got our funding, what we did was that before funding happened, we bootstrapped, right? Because कोई हमें पैसे नहीं दे रहा था, तो हमारे पास almost 9-10 months, actually slightly more, 12-13 months, we are working from Akhil's home. उसकी डाइनिंग टेबल पे बैठ के एक तरफ अखिल, एक तरफ मैं, एक तरफ अमित, और काफ़ी फनी होता था कि किसी कस्टमर से बात कर रहे हैं, उसने बोला कि अच्छा आपकी वेबसाइट में दिस इशू इज़ कमिंग, तो अगर अमित बात कर रहा है ओके प्लीज़ वेट सर, आई चेक विद माई टेक टीम, he'll put on the mute and say अखिल जरा चेक कर कि क्या हो रहा है क्योंकि हम 3 ही टीम थे, तो टेक टीम से बात कर रहा है वो, तो हमने करा ये 12-13 months. Then when the money came in, finally, $3 million, we said कि now we need an office, we need teams. So we found one small bungalow in a beautiful place in Bangalore called HSR Layout. You know Bangalore, so you know. It's a beautiful bungalow. We said कि हमें ना proper office नहीं चाहिए, because this is the formative years for the company. We want the DNA to be the DNA is being set now, so we want a more informal atmosphere. So we took a bungalow, set up, desks in that, so the teams can speak to each other and all that stuff. And then I remember that it was September morning when I, Akhil and Amit were standing on the terrace of that bungalow and chatting something. We saw some 40-50 people are coming towards the office. And earlier we thought कि शायद कोई religious procession जा रहा है, क्योंकि ऐसे कुछ होता रहता है रोज. Some people are going, something is happening, but later we realized, no, it's actually group of 50-60 brokers who are coming to our office to attack us, and they actually came, started banging things, breaking things. Their idea was that कि no broker को बंद कर देते हैं आज. Very, very painful time. Some of the employees were hurt. We had to call the police. We had to vacate the office the same day because, again, it is not safe to work from there. And for almost 2 months, we didn't have an office. We were working from 2 makeshift offices. किसी ने बोला कि मेरे ऑफिस में थोड़ी जगह है, तो हमने एक जगह ले ली. Somebody said कि हाँ मेरे यहाँ पे भी थोड़ा जगह है, so teams were divided, half the team in one place. In second office, we didn't even have tables and chairs, so everybody is sitting on mattresses and working on that. So very, very painful kind of a period it was. And what we realized, it was very difficult period that time, but what we realized that this disruption did 2-3 things for us. One, it made the team come very, very close together. That what people say that when it's difficult time, you rally around people. So I think that's what happened. Everybody came around very, very strongly together. And second, all of us started feeling that we are doing something right. That's why this disruption has happened. And then we read stories कि हाँ जब Uber ने ये किया था तो Uber also saw a disruption and all that. So we realized that yes, we are doing something. That's why there's a reaction. अगर हम insignificant होते तो reaction ही नहीं होता. So that also everybody started believing very strongly in the vision of the company. So that was a good thing that came out of
Did
that.
it fuel fear in your employees or in any which way?
No, the employees were very, very excited after that. They said, boss, we're making a difference. And most of the people who were there at that time, with almost 90% of them are still with the company. They so much strongly believe in the vision.
Interesting. You guys are not charging brokerage, instead helping and saving, customers about 4,000, 5,000 crores of brokerage every year.
Yeah.
So how do you guys make money?
What we do is that as an owner, or a seller, you can post your property free of cost. As a tenant or buyer, you can contact owners or sellers free of cost. For tenants and buyers, there is a limit that you can contact these many number of owners. So, example, a tenant can contact 9 owners. A buyer can contact 25 owners. If you want to contact more, then you have to pay a small fee, 1,500 rupees or 2,000 rupees, something like that. Also, if you're busy and you feel that my time is more valuable, I want to save brokerage, but I also want to save my time, then you can pay slightly more and get a phone relationship manager. It's a subscription plan and he will do all those things on your behalf. Basically, technology is doing everything, but there is a face in front of you who's on the phone and helping you do the entire thing. Similarly, for owners and sellers, you can do it for free, or you can take a phone relationship manager, pay some 4,000-5,000 rupees, who will help you do the entire transaction. We also make money from all these services that we do, packers and movers, painting, cleaning, rent agreements, sale deed. So I think there are multiple levers to this business model that we do.
Got it. And COVID saw a lot of these businesses getting shut down. So did you see any impact getting in, no broker not being able to do the functioning just because there was no middleman? You've eliminated all those. Directly, the consumers can connect with their property owners. So any impact on the business due to COVID?
Look, during COVID, nobody was shifting homes. That was the last thing in people's mind, that I want to shift homes. So of course the business was impacted when the lockdown was there. But we also see that when the lockdown opened, the recovery was fast, because there was that demand which was there, which came back. Also, over that period of COVID, we were able to scale a lot of these additional services which I'm talking about, because that is a time when people said that these services are so highly unorganized. I don't feel safe using a packer and mover who's coming from unorganized sector, because he'll not be wearing a mask, he'll not be sanitizing. So we were able to scale a lot of these services rapidly during that time. So yes, I mean, COVID was difficult, but as soon as it opened and things became better, we recovered. And post last March, I think the demand is humongous. People coming back to the towns, companies opening up. There's so much demand for buying homes. I mean, people who had spent so much time locked in rented houses, in small rented houses during COVID, suddenly said that I had never thought about buying a home earlier, but now I think I need a home, because these kind of emergencies can also happen. So a lot of people who were not buyers, who were out of the buying market, came in. So that's why you're seeing, I'm sure all of you would have heard about real estate doing extremely well right now, highest demand. I think COVID impacted that. COVID brought in that emotional need to buying a home. So that's what happened.
Got it. But a slight different change in the gears in terms of understanding how can youth today understand whether to pursue entrepreneurship by choice or by something else. Because a lot of times today, youth wants to get into launching their own startups,
Yeah.
either getting bored out by 9 to 5 job or the glamour of becoming a unicorn.
Yeah. So look, I think there are two, three things which you need to remember. One, entrepreneurship looks very cool and sexy, but I think it's a lot of hard work. So people should not think that it's going to be easy. There are going to be a lot of tough times. A lot of times you'll feel that, why did I do this? I could have got a very good paying job. Why am I doing this? So I think you should be ready for that ups and downs in this entire journey. And if anybody thinks it's going to be easy, it's going to be a very good easy ride, I think you're in the wrong place for entrepreneurship. So that's the first thing. Secondly, if you're bored in your job, I don't think that's a good reason to start a company. I think the better thing you can do is find a better job rather than starting a venture. I think you should start a company when you really feel that there is a pain point which you understand extremely well, and you can provide a solution for that which is better than anyone else. Or you can think of at least finding that. I think that's when you should think of starting a company. Look, a lot of times you also start by accident, which also happens. I incidentally, I met a friend of mine in the morning who said that he was working with one of the large banks who were trying to set up quantitative trading in India. They delayed that, and he was not getting what he wanted to do. So he said, okay, let me set up my own quantitative trading, and I think he's extremely successful now in doing that. But this happened, I think these were very few cases like that. I think more people you'll find who are successful are those who found a problem, said, okay, I will try and find a solution for that. This is a problem I can relate to, or I understand at least the customer pain point very well, and then try and do that. I think that is the right time or right reason to start. And also when you think that you're ready for that tough ride for the next 10 years.
Is there any timeline for marking by a founder that I want to be a unicorn by this year or this target. That those are my, the to-dos in my list. Because the money raised by these unicorns typically gets utilized for operations and
Yes,
working capital
yes.
and capex.
Yeah.
But what do you think should be the ideal, the thought process which goes behind this? Who owns the entire ownership?
So I don't think that being unicorn should be anyone's objective or saying that I want to be unicorn by this much time. I think that's the wrong way to think about it. The right way to think about it is that I want to be the best solution for this problem. And if you do that, by corollary, I think you will become a unicorn. I mean, that's how you should think about it. If anybody is thinking about real estate today, and if he or she is not thinking about no broker, then it's a problem. I should solve for that. So anybody who is starting a company in XYZ field, anybody who's thinking about XYZ field should say, okay, this company is the one which I should be going for. Should be my first port of call. That is what a founder should aim for. And I think valuation is an output. That should not be the aim.
Fair. I think I read somewhere that due to recession vows, the profitability is now getting expected in about 2 years from now. Having said that, couple of locations are still in profit, Bangalore, Mumbai.
Yeah.
So do you have visibility on what were those three major areas which were causing losses year on year?
Look, so I think the consumer internet business works in a very different way because these are network businesses, right? They have a network effect. So no broker, if it wants, it can become profitable today. If we say, okay, let's not invest in growth, let's not invest in new verticals, it can become profitable today. But what we want is that the network effect to become so large so that if anyone is thinking about renting a property, selling a property, buying a property, they should come to NoBroker and they should find their answer here. So I think that's why we keep on investing in, going deeper in the cities where we are. We present in, 6 cities and we want to go deeper in those cities. So a lot of spend in bringing new owners, bringing new properties, bringing tenants and buyers. We also invest a lot on launching new verticals. Like I spoke about, we started packers and movers, we started cleaning services. So a lot of this investment goes into this. So I think this is where the investment goes into. At the stage that where we are, I think the idea is you can do two things. You can either become a small and profitable company today, or you can become a large and very profitable company after 2 years. So we've chosen the second one, which we think is the right answer to this.
Oh, insightful. On a day-to-day basis, we've seen, the clients are happy, investors are happy, and everything is running quite smoothly. What should be the ideal goal or the destination a founder should keep in mind?
Yeah, so I think it depends depends on various. One of course that the founder wants. I think it depends from founder to founder. So, for example, if it's not a funded company, if it's a self-funded company, you may think of running it profitably for as many years as you want. I mean, just think of Zerodha. They don't need to do an IPO. They don't need to do any sale. They can just keep running it. But as soon as you have investors who have invested in the company, they have expectation that you will give them an exit at some point of time, which is typically what most of the companies uh, are in India now, at least new age entrepreneurs. So if you have to give an exit, there are two ways to do that, of course. One is something like what maybe a Flipkart did, sold the entire company to somebody, or other option is to do an IPO, which we have seen multiple of those happening in the last couple of years. You have to choose one of those. So I think it clearly depends on how or what the founder wants. But I think giving a exit to the investors at some point of time is the duty of the founder. Which route they want to take is something which the founder has to decide.
What is no broker's choice?
I think we have to still figure that out, but looks like IPO.
Great. Uh, For the benefit of our audience, please tell us, how should someone build incremental knowledge? Founder today is occupied in running the businesses.
Yeah.
And how should someone actually generate intel?
Sure. So I think one big part of what my learning in this, I've been doing entrepreneurship for 15 years now. One big learning is that founders should take out enough time to keep on upskilling themselves, upgrading themselves. And I think what is important, that's why, is to have a very good second level of team. People whom founder works very closely with. So that a lot of things which are now operational in nature or which are set and somebody has to scale them up, or that can be done by that team. And founder can spend time on thinking and defining the vision. What is the next thing? What are the new initiatives need to be taken? So I think that's very important. So clearly, having that next level of team is extremely critical. A lot of people make that mistake, and that's, I think, very detrimental. Because, for example, at NoBroker, if you come and see the next level of team, the next 20-25 people who probably are in the leadership team, they are so passionate that you will, if you come to office and you don't know us, who are the founders, you will not be able to tell amongst those 25 people who is the founder, who is an employee. They are so passionate. And sometimes, they push us more than we push them. They'll tell us that why are you not doing, why are we not doing this? We should do this also, we should do that also. So I think getting those people is important. And once you have that, I think you suddenly release a lot of your time, which is going into operational things, which you can do for upskilling or upgrading yourself. And I think it's important to meet people who have gone through those kind of challenges, who can explain how to scale from 0 to 1 or 1 to 100. Also, I think I also found that reading about a lot of entrepreneurs when they write their books or some of their biographies, I think you learn a lot of things from there also. So I think these two things are important, that you keep learning from people who have already done that, by speaking to them, meeting them, by reading about them. I think that really helps.
A lot of companies keep mentors, advisory board council. Who is, that kind of leaders for No Broker?
Yeah, so we don't have any formal, but I think there are a lot of bouncing boards. So, for example, I go back to a lot of my Unilever colleagues for a lot of marketing insights. Because they have been doing it for so many years, they have a lot of those insights. Many times they come to me because they want to understand how online things work. So, I think this exchange of ideas is very, very important. And similarly, I think when we were starting about technology, we spoke to a lot of people at that time to understand what works best. So I clearly see, those interactions give you a lot of learnings, enriches you a lot, which is very useful in your business.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I have a very quick 5-minute rapid fire round. A couple of questions. So describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh. Okay, that's difficult. Innovator,
Mm-hmm.
explorer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very silent usually, so I think silent. Yeah.
Great. If not in the current profession, what else would you have been doing?
I think if I had not joined IIM Ahmedabad, I would have gone to Colombia for that quantitative trading. I would have been quant trader, algo trader.
If a movie was to be made on your life, what genre would it be?
uh, I think it's quite adventurous. Adventure.
Who would you want to play the lead actor in that movie?
Oh my God. I don't know. Leonardo.
One source of inspiration that you turn to in your low days.
Sam Walton. I think the one book which I read which inspired me a lot was Made in America.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam Walton, I keep going back and reading that book again and again.
Who's your favorite superhero?
I think Warren Buffett. He's not, for me, he's a superhero. His understanding of business is...
Who's not?
Yeah.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning person. I wake up at 5:45 every day.
You like to start up early.
Yeah. I really like to see the rising sun.
Great. What annoys you the most?
Repeated mistakes.
The weirdest food you've ever eaten?
You're not going to believe it, but I ate a roasted cockroach in Korea.
How was the experience? Would you want to describe that?
Oh no. I can never do that again.
How many countries you've traveled and which one is the most preferred?
Oh, I think more than 35. But I think there are 2 which I like a lot. One is Bhutan. It was a very surreal, different experience. Second is Japan, but not Tokyo, Kyoto. I really loved Kyoto. A very, very different, old Japanese tradition.
That's the only city, I think, which has maintained its culture in Japan.
Yeah.
Any interesting thing one can find in your wallet?
Usually, I think it's opposite. My wallet never has any cash.
What do you do on weekends?
So I have a 2-year-old son. I spend a lot of time, or try to spend a lot of time with him. I read a lot, so do that. For the last few years, I've started collecting vinyl LPs. So I listen to music.
Great. One new technology that you would bet your money on?
AI, for sure. I'm sure that AI is going to change the way we live. It's already doing that.
Yeah. Favorite reading source to stay on top of the world?
Twitter.
What percentage of success do you owe it to your luck?
So I think that timing and luck are very, whether you call it luck, whether you call it timing, these are very correlated. I would say very, very high percentage, 49% maybe.
Nice. What is the lowest point of your time at NoBroker? How did you combat?
I think I spoke about that. The broker attack was extremely difficult for us, for the entire team.
Given a chance to acquire any of the PropTech companies in India, what would that one or two be?
I don't think we've seen anything interesting. We've acquired one company so far. It was called Society Connect, which we acquired for our no brokerhood vertical. As of now, I don't think we're seeing anything interesting. We would like to build our own.
Awesome. I have just one question. Do you see, no broker entering or maybe supplementing Oyo or Oyo Townhouse, those kind of sections in any which way?
I think it's a slightly different audience because that's a very, very short stay, right? That's a travel audience, which is not what we overlap with. So I don't...
No, not to the consumers, but to the Oyo.
Yeah, but we need to have those consumers on the platform. I don't think that the consumers who are coming on our platform are people who are coming with that need. They're coming from stay need for a slightly longer duration. So it makes sense for us to work with players like Stanza and Hauser and all because that's what similar audience or similar mindset they're coming with. I think here the mindset is very different. So probably a make my trip or a clear trip is a better answer for those guys.
Fair. Guys, with this, we wrap this episode of Series C. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.